Welcome to Adulting on the Spectrum. In this podcast, we want to highlight the real voices of autistic adults, not just inspirational stories, but people like us talking about their day-to-day life. Basically, we want to give a voice to a variety of autistic people. I'm Eileen Lamb, an autistic author and photographer, and I co-host this podcast with Andrew Komarow. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Eileen. Today, our guest is Josh Edwards. Josh is originally from Stilwell, Kansas. He was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome at 13. He pursued education, earning an associate's degree at Johnson Community College and a bachelor's degree in social work from Pittsburg State University. After a transformative summer in Florida, Josh found his calling at an elementary school, working with a supportive team and mentor, passionate about autism advocacy. He eagerly anticipates volunteering at a hospital and starting a YouTube channel to create positive change. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, Eileen. I'm very excited to be here. This is my very first podcast. I've ever gotten a radio. It's all very exciting. Glad to be here.
Can you, we like to start off our podcast asking everyone how they like to be identified. And we don't mean pronouns such as he, him, although you're welcome to share those.
Oh, I appreciate that. And if I may, Andrew, I think I know where this is going because I'm involved with certain social groups for autism advocacy. You referred to the autistic or with autism, don't you? While I'm really, how should I say this, neutral, like I don't get set off really, I do prefer, what I mean is I would appreciate if you could say with autism.
Sure.
Like that's just kind of what flows with me. But like I said, you say autistics, I won't fly off the handle. But I do appreciate that.
Tell us a bit more about your diagnosis. So you were diagnosed at 13, and at the time it was Asperger syndrome, right? Because there is a change now. It's
yes, with the whole with the whole terminology and the whole DSM-5 stuff, I think it's called. Yes, I was about. It's really hard to remember a whole lot of that, but I remember I was just before I was 14. My mother told me we were in the hospital for my sister, I think, and my mother told me something. She mentioned the word Asperger syndrome, and I didn't understand it. And the only closest I came to understanding it was my ADHD. I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactive disorder, like I want to say maybe 6 or 7, maybe, I can't remember exactly, somewhere around then. And then the ADHD, the Asperger syndrome diagnosis at 13. And as you can imagine, I didn't exactly understand it, let alone there was a lot about myself I didn't understand. And, I attended interpersonal skills courses the following year in high school, and kind of social cues, kind of reading body language, kind of getting a little more in sync with people who did, how shall I say this, different perception, shall we say, people without Asperger's, or the general public, if you will, kind of the acquired skills. And that definitely helped out. And let's see, and not to mention I attended conferences. I went to a youth leadership conference my senior year. I even spoke to the Board of Education on regard for my special education in my school district. Pretty exciting for an 18-year-old kid. And so I would say it would be an ongoing pursuit. I actually ended up meeting Temple Grandin. I don't know if you know her. I attended a conference.
on the podcast.
No kidding. Wow. That's amazing. I met her once. I'm like, oh my gosh, 12 years ago this October. It was my first year out of high school. It was a conference. I can't remember what it was, but my mother and I went to see her. I leave the conference just for a moment to use the restroom, and then right when I'm coming out, I'm right behind her, and then right before yeah, I'm just walking right behind her, and then right before she goes in or does what she has to, I just say hello, and I say what a privilege it is to meet her. And she asked if I was like a reporter or something, or one of the sponsor went, no, no, I'm just a college student. I came to see you. It was like it was kind of like it was like a Trekkie fan. Close I ever came to one of those Star Trek fans. I was speechless. I'm involved with the telehealth program Echo Autism. I'm with Autism Speaks. I'm a self-advocacy team member, and I have been since shortly after college. I was with them since 2021.
What now? You're involved with a few organizations, some without, well, controversy that I'm aware of, and some with. How do you feel about the controversy regarding the Asperger's label?
I had forgotten. I've recently heard about this too. I'll admit, at first, I didn't get why they took it off, and but this is because I was not aware of this information. I
That's not
just
even
thought,
why they took it off. I don't even think that's why it was taken out. It was just that they wanted to
well,
dump
as
everything
I
into
said, I
one.
never even heard this supposed, I'll say supposed rumor, because
Yeah.
it could be true, could be not, I don't know. And the last thing I want is to get people the wrong impression. But you know how you say the wrong thing for the right reason, and
Mhm.
you know people get the wrong impression. But staying on topic, I have to admit, at first I was sort of, I'll say annoyed at most, or confused really why it was taken off, because that was the word that kind of, I don't know, I identified with it. I don't know about label, maybe trademark. It was sort of a trademark or sort of an identifier. Felt like it was a word to make sense. My quirks, my characteristics, if you will, yeah, my traits. You know, it kind of helped identify, or kind of gave the name of where they came from, or kind of made sense of a situation. You know, like that. And you know, kind of like an ethnicity, like a second an unofficial ethnicity, if you will. And I didn't get why they took it off, and just, I mean, people add and take names all the time. ADHD becomes ADD. I don't get what's with people. I think there's either TMI or TLI. Too little information. And yes, I just came up with that. But honestly, if that is true, if that were to be true, I have to admit I can understand people's feelings, and because I can understand why other people, because that's the last thing that we want to keep alive in history and need to remind ourselves. And I can understand the negativity that would bring to people with Asperger syndrome, or any any neural developmental disability.
So, can you tell us about your college experience? When I was in France, I tried going to college for 4 years in a row, 3 or 4, I don't even remember, and I couldn't do it. So I had to do online classes instead. I would love to know if you went in person, if you had any struggles, and any tips, maybe.
Oh, well, I don't really know how many. I don't know how many tips I can really offer, but I will just say what I can say is what worked for me, or made it as pleasant as an experience as it did, and maybe it'll make the difference, or maybe it'll help people know what'll make the difference all for them. Let me see. Well, what hurt with community college was, well, for one, community, I felt, at least in my experience, was a loose term. It was like every man and woman for themselves, or at least I didn't exactly have an open arms, or a place I could feel like I was one of the people, or a place I could, you know, feel like I was part of it. But when I went straight to Pitt State, right away. I don't know what it was, and I admit I was nervous. My major aside, I didn't know what to expect. I just went in with I don't know, I went in with little to no expectations or idea what was going to happen. I just kind of was in the moment ish. And when everything started out, it was amazing. I attended the student activity events and things and all the different groups all out when our first week, and I ended up joining the student activity board, and I was just so welcome with open arms, and that was the kind of feeling I got growing up as a kid. And I was at Blue Valley in Kansas, and I just I remember feeling this this is a school, this is a community. I love it. I felt I felt at home for the first time since I graduated, and it was amazing. And it can be, I admit, it can be challenging, especially leaving home. And trust me, trust me, you can feel nervous just as something as simple as leaving a leaving a meeting from one building to another in the stranded in rain, trying to get to your dorm, and caught in with a very cloudy, stormy night in March, and you know, with the streets in the city, and you don't know anyone, and you worry about, and well, you can feel like you're in Beauty and the Beast, because you can't worry like something's gonna happen. That's how I felt one night. I was caught in a storm, leaving the activity board after a meeting went long, and I had to walk all the way in a terrible storm with rain up to my legs, or at least drenched all the way to this old brick building. And like I said, it was pretty, and like I said, it was pretty thick. Thick storm. It was a pretty thick storm, and well, accommodations help. So definitely go to the accommodation center. Another thing that helped, always stay connected to the people or know who you can trust, and now be open and be not assertive, but be upfront with people when something bothers you. Your real friends will understand when you tell them that you did something that you wish they hadn't, even though, like, be upfront, but be respectful. Homework makes more of a difference than you think. Well, especially, I know we all want to get rid of it, trust me. When you only have a class that only gives tests, thank your lucky stars for the homework, because then you'll know what the heck the material is and you'll feel less in limbo.
What is your biggest struggle with autism, and can you share some strategies for coping with our
As
followers?
a matter of fact, not only can I've thought of, well, I don't know if I was thinking like right here, right now, but I'm so glad because I've been thinking about them lately, or I've been trying to work on them. I'm happy to share. I would say my biggest Achilles heel would be my anxiety. Hard to tell if that's my kryptonite or my Achilles heel, but bottom line, that's my vulnerable point, my anxiety. And I admit that I punished myself. I thought this to myself in the car ride on the way home, or earlier today. I punished myself more than anyone else with my anxiety. And believe you me, it can be self-destructive if you let it.
Mm.
That is, trust me, that is not a light warning. That is not, trust me, do not, trust me. I advise people not to take this warning lightly. I can't pretend that my struggles are the highest, but I recognize anxiety at it can come at its peak from any origin. What I'm saying is high anxiety can come from anywhere or anything, and leaving even the strongest person vulnerable. You know, like, one spark start a fire kind of thing. Well, definitely, and I need to get better at this, but I have been doing this in the past. It helps to see a counselor. My advice is don't just go and see a counselor. What I mean to say is, if you go to see a counselor and you're not, and that doesn't do it for you, I can't say this works for everyone, but at least before ruling it out, I mean, in the process of elimination, I strongly urge the consideration of a mental health specialist, because I've been seeing a mental health specialist, and she's a great counselor, just a friendly, open ear. Last time I saw her, I was a little anxious. She gave me some advice that's been helping, and I'm trying to apply that a little more, and it's been helping a great deal. When I do the, however seldom I think about it, she said that whenever I make a mistake or something I wish I hadn't done, I kind of view myself like a television character, like the television characters you watch. Like their character, and even though they did some wrong, that you know their heart and their personality and the intention, and it kind of helps you view yourself a little differently. It kind of, I don't know, puts yourself a little in perspective. Another thing that helps is you recognize your intentions, and you recognize that there are people who don't give a dang, and that all you're trying to do is the right thing, and that you have your head on. And look at where you are in life, and cut yourself some slack.
What do you like best about working with children?
I admit there were a few other coping mechanisms I didn't think hadn't brought up yet, but first, what was it? But on the topic at hand, if I'm honest, I don't know, but only because I don't think about it. But I would say what I love working with elementary children, or what's worked with them, is I don't know. I think it's because I don't know. I just have a natural kinship, but it's easier to work with them. I feel like they're easy. I feel like they listen. They listen easier. They show respect. They show respect, like they put in the effort. Or at least I've always been fortunate enough to work with elementary children that show the effort and they listen to you. You treat them like young adults and like people, and they show the work and the progress. And I've been very fortunate, especially with ESE, that exceptional student education, if I'm correct. That would be what you'd call special education down here in Florida.
Okay.
Yes. Now, of course, it varies, and I would definitely say it helps when you know the kids, and something especially that I love best was this year I got to see something I don't know if I've ever seen. I got to watch the children that I met a year ago grow so much and develop, if not far, at least quite a few steps forward from when I first met them. And I saw the effort and the progress that they put into wanting to become the people I saw, and ready to go into the world one day, if not soon. And I was so proud that, and to know, I realize it's not about me, but to know that my work at least played a part or had meaning, and to know that those children were actually able to do so much more than ever were before, or maybe even anyone thought possible. It's amazing.
The same subject. Is it me echoing again?
Yeah, it is.
I hear no echo.
Yeah, I heard it.
Echo, echo. Thought I'd lighten the mood. Plus, I had Jack Black in my head.
You've got the jokes, Josh.
Thank you. Believe it or not, thank you. Actually, if I may, that's sort of something I've learned, or my mother pointed out, is a coping mechanism. One, I'm just a born Muppet Looney Tune mix. Oh, and Robin Williams.
Mm.
But seriously, whenever I do have an example, whenever my boss, the teacher I would work with, I'm a teacher assistant at elementary school, and when my boss couldn't be at work, or the days when he would end up not showing up and I didn't know, you can imagine 8 children, between like 6 to 8 children on for special education, and me be the only one who remotely knows what to do, and I still just barely would know what my boss would do. You can imagine it can be kind of strenuous to try to figure out everything on the fly. And I would tell this to my mother, but it's the truth. I I would tell her I feel like Fozzie Bear running the Muppet Show with Kermit the Frog gone, and to kind of relieve some of the tension. I realized the last few times he was gone, what helped was I would joke or I would quote one of the times Fozzie was dealing with that. Oh, I don't believe that. Scooter, the show is falling apart. I practically blow up the theater. Then the audience starts to leave, and the two sketches go off at the same time. On at the same time. Oh boy, way to go, Bear. Scooter, what else can go wrong? Well, the stage man, the stage crew's talking about quitting. What? Yeah, see that my mother realized that was my nerves. Well, actually, I may have realized that was my nerves getting out. My the comedian, that was my dealing with my nerves. Something else like say you're driving in fog, or you're trying to find a place, you get lost and you just so anxious, and and the highways can be very demanding. And what helps, I've been very bad about this lately, but something I learned from my time at my job was something that helps is you can get colored pencils. You can try to draw in a page of colored pencils or something. And I don't know how or why, but it's very therapeutic.
Huh.
Coloring in a page with colored pencils is very therapeutic, especially when you don't have that clear head and you can't draw something originally. See, you don't always have that mindset. I told you, little Eileen, before we were getting started, how I've tried to draw my own comic book characters, how I was learning that from my friend. Well, unfortunately, when you're anxious, you can't always the creative part of your mind is a little fogged up, but when you're tracing things in, you have the physical release, and you can just automatically go right there. You can control where you can be aware. You cannot watch videos. You cannot do anything else. You can just either have 10 or 15 minutes, calm, quiet place, like long couch, or pen or color pencil and pictures, and it makes a great deal. It makes a very big difference.
I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions, but before then,
Please.
I want you to tell people where they can find you. And by that, I don't mean your couch. I mean on social media.
Very good. Well, you can find me on, I'm hoping, a few other places. What I mean by that is I'm hoping maybe I'm still early development in this, Facebook, and I don't know about Twitter, but I'd like that maybe soon. But right now, you can definitely find me on YouTube through the United Region, and you can find me. Look for the picture with the big kind of brain-shaped blue ball with the green U and R. See that represents the world as a brain, you see, and the green and the R are the continents. See, the U and R, they represent United Region, sort of like America as one people. But it also represents the region of the brain. See, represents people living as one region, one people, and well, not one mind, but people with autism, people with cerebral palsy, people without developmental disability, all of America living together, regardless of the challenges or what we look like and where we come from. And I'm hoping this YouTube channel and a few other projects can help us see that.
I hope it works out for you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you the quick fire questions now. It's very simple. You just tell me the first answer that comes to your mind.
All right.
Who's your favorite singer?
My favorite singer. Unfortunately, I haven't thought a lot about this, but the one on top of my head, and I would have to say I'm tied between Kelly Clarkson or Katy Perry.
Favorite TV show or movie?
Ooh, favorite TV show or movie. So I'll have again first in my head, but I'll definitely say, oh, I definitely gotta say Big Bang Theory, or at least definitely high up there.
Do you have a favorite sport?
Favorite sport. I have to admit, I would put NA for that, not applicable. Although I'm just not I'm just not a sport fanatic, but but I don't have anything against people who love sports. And when I was in Kansas, you take me a Royals game, I wouldn't say no. Oh, that could be very fun. All the different music they play, and the fireworks, and oh man, no, it's gonna be very fun. Royals games.
Do you have a favorite type of food? Chinese, American, Italian?
Oh, you're killing me. You're really
French?
waking up the rumbly in my tumbly. But I have to admit, I've always been a burger boy, but I have to admit, I've definitely gotten a craving, or I have a very high passion for fried chicken. I've actually learned to make fried chicken.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been learning to cook in my recent days.
do you have a favorite color?
Favorite color, definitely orange.
Orange. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Josh. I will let you know when the episode is live, but we enjoyed learning about you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night.
Much obliged, Eileen, and same to you. And Andrew, very nice to meet you.
Bye.
Good night. Bye bye, Eileen. Bye bye, Andrew.